Chip and I are here at a really interesting project we're just finishing up today. We want to share it with you because it has some real specific goals that the owner had involving low maintenance landscaping, which I think appeals to a lot of people. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Chip and I plan to be doing a lot more videos for you. If you like them, please click on like and click on subscribe and click on the bell so that you'll be notified every Sunday when we post our new videos. Hi, I'm John Valentino, president of John and Bobs Corporation. I'm a landscape contractor and a landscape architect, and we will describe to you this project we're finishing today at a hospital. It's actually adjacent to a baby nursery that has real security issues, making it difficult to maintain. So low maintenance is a key factor here. So this is an atrium adjacent to a baby nursery at a hospital. You can see at the end here is a place where people can eat lunch and kind of go out into the atrium away from the hospital on breaks. And because of that, it has high security to prevent theft of babies. And it has two doors. We're still working here, so you'll get a little bit of noise, but that'll make you feel like you're part of the action. It has two doors that are locked. And because of that, maintenance is a real problem. And it tended to be an area that plants died or needed pruning or weeds grew and nobody did anything about it. It always looked terrible. So a major part of our project here is to do something simple, easy to maintain, that looks good all the time. And one of the key factors in that is to select plants that don't need pruning, so that you eliminate that part of the maintenance process. So we tried to pick things that would never get too big for their spot and that you can allow to grow naturally. There's only 4 different plants on the site, and they'll stay contained within the area they're planted. On my left is a small little improved nandina that's a recent introduction into the landscape industry, called blush pink. And blush pink won't get very big. It won't even come out all the way to the walkway, only get a couple feet tall, so you'll never have to do anything to it from a pruning standpoint, or really from any standpoint. On the other side of the walk, you'll see we just alternated groupings of very nice ilex or holly called emerald colonnade. So that gives you the feeling right there. It's green and upright. Emerald colonnade will just grow up, won't need much pruning, might eventually touch each other. You can see how they look right now, right after we planted them. And then that's alternated with groupings of a type of camellia called Camellia setsugekka, which is one of the lowest maintenance camellias you could plant. It blooms in the fall, grows upright, has kind of an open habit, so you don't have to prune it. Camellia setsugekka, emerald colonnade holly, and nandina are all plants that won't need any pruning. We'll just let them grow naturally, which is also nice because you're looking at their natural form rather than to some hacked up clubbed into submission look. And then the only other plant here is one you're probably familiar with because they're used frequently as indoor plants. And since we're in kind of an indoor area, it's open to the sky, but it's screened with windows and such, is ficus benjamina, or weeping fig. We use those as a background for that eating area, and so that the people feel a little bit enveloped by greenery. And that ficus benjamina, we're going to let that grow naturally and fill in that spot. So those are the only plants, no pruning. So from that standpoint, very low maintenance. So you can see here what this looked like before we started. It had a lot of weeds. Actually, when I took this photo, it had just been weeded, but there was still a lot of green on the ground. I wanted to think of a way that we could limit the weeds entirely so they don't have to be coming in here at all, maybe once every couple of months, and they wouldn't have weeds. So I came up with this idea of using cobble. In the background, we used a 4 to 8 inch river cobble, and we just set it on top of a thin layer of decomposed granite, and then we used decomposed granite in between the cobble, and then in the foreground, right up against this concrete walk, we used Mexican cobble, which is a darker gray, and we set it flat, and then we used it's set on decomposed granite also. And then in the narrow planter with an nandina, we used another size of regular river rock, 2 to 4 inch. We planted the plants high, so we didn't bury the plants, and then we put the rock right around the root balls of the plants, and we won't have weeds here. The other thing you can do if you want to make sure you don't have weeds is right under the rock you could put a pre-emergent herbicide. I like to avoid pre-emergent herbicides. That kills weed seeds. It's one of the better ways to address weeds, but it really isn't good for soil. So if we can, we'd avoid it. In this case, we did use some in spots where we knew we had a lot of weed activity and a lot of weed seeds. So the other part of coming up with a landscape that's low maintenance, that you don't have to be fretting about all the time, is not plant high maintenance plants that need a lot of feeding, a lot of special watering, a lot of special care. Things like azaleas or more higher care things, or flowers that, annuals, those are high maintenance. So we have kind of a unique situation here, is that it's open to the sky, but there's walls making this atrium, so the exposure is a little bit different. Things that grow in the full sun probably wouldn't do great here. We need things that will thrive in different, like a dappled exposure, dappled light. And so that's why I picked the emerald colonnade ilex or emerald colonnade holly, which will grow in a lower amount of light than many plants, and the same thing with the camellia setsugekka. Really versatile in terms of the amount of sun it needs. It can take sun, or it can do better in low light. Same thing with our ficus, and which is our weeping fig, and our nandina. Might impact the color of the nandina some, since we don't have subject to high sun or extreme cold, which is what gives us the color, but it'll do great. So that's one of the things, is basically pick low maintenance plants perfectly suited for the amount of light that they're going to be provided, so you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to be attending to them all the time. So the final factor basically pertains to every landscape job, and that especially one that you're trying to figure out ways you don't need to be checking on all the time, and that is the health of the soil. So if we pick the right plant and we infuse the soil with lots of life and make it good, healthy, well-drained soil, now we know that these plants are going to do fine without a lot of special attention. So we used our blend, which is a mix of optimized, maximized, nourish-biosol, and it does just that. It not only feeds plants with macronutrients and micronutrients, but it addresses the health of the soil with the real key to soil health, which is life in the soil. So beneficial bacteria, good beneficial fungi and protozoa, and good nematodes. We're building life in the soil, and by building life in the soil, you really create a self-sustaining environment where the plants can do what they do. They can transpire and do what they do and grow without any special attention. So now we've made this low maintenance in many ways. We've got self-sustaining healthy soil, we've got plants that don't need pruning, we've got an absence of weeding, and we've got plants well suited to their environmental conditions.
Hey there, friends. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell. Want to learn more about our products? Then head over to our website, www.johnandbobs.com.